Ladies and gentlemen, Imus in the morning.
5 minutes after the hour here in the Imus Morning program on the radio all over the country. And this morning, I'm told, debuting on the Fox Business Network, except this is our second week here, and I thought we were on last week.
No, we were not. Trial run.
Did you think that, Bernie?
No.
Hello?
Idiot.
No.
Warner, did you think we were on last week?
I thought we were on all week.
Oh, man.
Of course, Come on.
Well, of course, Warner's been in the wine. Or so that's his reason. Deborah Dickerson is coming up this morning. We'll talk to her. She wrote the End of Blackness, and she's become a friend of ours for the past year and a half. So Glenn Beck will be in, not down at my pestering my doorman trying to get up in my apartment.
Right.
And then the former head of the New York Stock Exchange, Dick Grasso, talked to Senator John McCain. Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone in his article, Wall Street's Naked Swindle. And then the Godfather's coming in with some thoughts on our transition from RFD, which we had a nice experience with them, and they're nice people.
You bet.
Patrick Goss, a great guy, and we were now with the Fox Business Network. So
Evolution occurs.
No more cows.
No more. No more cows.
There's no more cows. That's it. And then Dice Clay with the Letterman Top 10. So all of that coming up. It's time for a little news now. And with that, here's Chuck McCord, Charles.
Imus in the morning, making its debut this morning on the Fox Business Network.
I just
That is
said
our
that.
principal story of the morning. Nevertheless,
Do not try to adjust your sets.
the high man in a multitude of interviews leading up to today's premiere on FBN.
No, why are we? I just said this.
Says Fox Business is a good fit for the show because Wall Street denizens have always been a principal part of the Imus in the morning audience. So congratulations to Don. One of the top stories that we're following on the Fox Business Network, Pakistani authorities reporting a suicide bomber attacked the World Food Program offices in Islamabad today, and 3 people died in that. Officials in Thailand say a train has derailed during heavy rains, killing at least 10 people, including a 2-year-old child. 88 others are injured. And peace activists in Washington organized a memorial over the weekend, placed more than 800 empty pairs of combat boots on the ellipse representing fallen soldiers in Afghanistan. And the memorial came as U.S. troops endured the worst attack in more than a year in Afghanistan. And those are among our top developments. The Imus in the Morning program continues on the Fox Business Network.
Studio, so it can be completely owned by the Imus family. I know that this may be
Are you happy? Are you proud of yourself, making me feel bad? That doesn't help me in my, as I'm trying to holistically cure myself.
Just don't go back over this territory,
So
please.
I didn't realize
Jeez.
that you were reading the news for somebody else. I guess the Fox Business Network, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I was doing something for the radio.
Right.
So we've already done this for a week now, haven't we?
Yes, you'd think you would know kind of how the routine plays out.
Time for a little sports now, and sports sponsored by NetJets. Call them at 1-877-NetJets. Go to netjets.com. And here with that is Warner Wolf. Good morning, Warner.
Good morning, man. Sunday night football. The Steelers beat the Chargers 38-28 after leading 28-0. Steelers had almost 500 yards total offense, while the Chargers had only 16 yards rushing. Meanwhile, 4 teams go 4-0. The Giants beat the winless Chiefs 27-16. The pick here was 27-10.
Well, then you were wrong again.
Matt Castle, who realized quickly playing for the Chiefs is not the same thing as playing for Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Eli went 20 for 34, 292 yards, 3 touchdowns before leaving in the fourth quarter with a bruised heel. Brandon Jacobs, accused by Tony Siragusa of tiptoed his way to 92 yards and 21 carries.
I don't know what that means, tiptoeing.
Well, he's saying he wasn't running hard. He was just tiptoeing, picking them up, watching his spots. It wasn't true.
Okay.
Colts go 4-0, beat the Seahawks 34-17. Peyton Manning, 31 for 41, 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Saints go 4-0, beat the Jets 24-10. The pick was 27-20. The pick was 27-20.
No, I realize that, Warner. I just thought,
Okay.
I don't even know where to start.
Well, you say you're wrong.
Well, you were wrong.
That's right.
Okay.
Mark Sanchez played like a rookie, which he is. 3 interceptions, 1 return, 99 yards for a touchdown.
Well,
Here was the call, Jim Henderson, WWL New Orleans.
2nd and 8 from the 15-yard line of the Saints as the Jets move it left to right on the first play of the second quarter. Play action. Sanchez throws an interception to Sharper. It's back at the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Midfield, Sanchez to beat. He won't do it. Look at Darren Sharper. He's going to strut into the end zone.
That was it. He also fumbled in his own end zone for a touchdown at Sanchez.
Idiot.
Yeah. Broncos go 4-0, beat the Cowboys 17-10. Romo with 3 shots from the Denver 8 with 27 seconds left. Couldn't get them in. But here was Broncos winning coach, Josh McDaniels.
We know we've won 4 games, and 4 games will never qualify us for the playoffs. 4 games will never win our division, and 4 games won't get us really much of anything.
Well, that's the spirit.
well,
Can't slip nothing by that kid.
No.
man, come on.
Come on. And the big one tonight, I-Man. Turn
Yeah.
your sets on now.
All right.
Vikings, Packers in Minneapolis. Brett Favre against the guy who took his place, Aaron Rodgers.
Now, the problem is it's on ESPN, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then we have to endure that the new Monday night team, which is that dopey coach from Tampa Bay, was his name? John Gruden. Oh, he's kind of okay.
He's all right.
And then the dope from Philadelphia. Well, we just resort to name calling.
Yeah, well, why is it? Where's the negativity?
Well, because
Yeah, what's that about?
you know what it is, Charles?
Don't tell me.
Oh, no.
I don't want to know.
No, please.
It's the cancer.
Oh,
drug.
shut up.
Anyway,
Well, here's what I would do,
Jesus.
I-Man.
what?
God
Turn your
almighty.
TV sound off, turn on Westwood 1, and listen to Marv Albert.
There's your answer.
There's your answer.
Ring
There
the
it
bell.
is.
Final
No, no,
score. Actually, you don't have to watch it. I've got the final score.
What would it be, Warner?
Packers 27, Vikings 24.
Fine. Who won the car race, Warner?
The car race won by Tony Stewart. He is now 67 points behind Mark Martin.
Right.
And Jimmy Johnson is 18 points behind.
Who ran second in that race at Kansas?
Jeff Gordon
Oh,
in
that's
a
pretty
Chevy.
good, Warner. I was just
try
praying
to-
you wouldn't know, of course.
Oh, come on.
28 after the hour here on the Imus Morning Program. Talk with Deborah Dickerson next. And Glenn Beck, Dick Grasso, Senator John McCain, Matt Taibbi. Stones.
Everywhere I hear the sound of Martin George feet, boy. 'Cause summer's here and the time is right for rising in the street, boy. Well, what can a poor boy do except to sing for a rock and roll band? 'Cause the sleep has done down there. Just no place for street-bodied man.
Your morning dose of sunshine. Imus in the morning.
Begins right now.
Please welcome to the Imus Morning Program, the author of a number of #1 New York Times bestsellers and the best sports writer in America now that Tony Kornheiser has stopped doing it and Jim Moore is dead. Mike Lupica. Good morning, Mr. Lupica.
Good morning, Mr. Imus.
You know, you're right, though, about these people who become my friends like Levin and Glenn Beck. You know, one of these days, the doorman's going to...
Here's what's going to happen, okay? Beck will one day, he'll show up at the building, but not only will he have the doorman call upstairs, when the doorman calls upstairs, he'll be talking to you like this. Mr. Imus, Glenn Beck is downstairs. you've got to come down, because obviously he knows he's not going to send him up. You know, that's a career ender. Okay.
He seems agitated. The country?
No.
And debuting this morning on the Fox Business Network, 2 new radio affiliates start today. Charles?
Yeah.
KKAT 860 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Utah's big talker.
Okay.
And we're back in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, no kidding. Great.
KLRG 880, the Little Rock Giant, 88 large.
Somebody get down.
880 large, something
I like it.
that.
I like it. I like it.
Deborah Dickerson is the author of An American Story and the End of Blackness. She's a contributing editor at Mother Jones Magazine, teaches journalism at SUNY in Albany. Please welcome to the program Professor Deborah Dickerson. Good morning, Ms. Dickerson.
Oh, my God, it's so early, Don. I'm just in a coma. It's so early. How do you do this every day?
Well, it used to be drugs.
That's what I should have done.
And now, as long as I'm up, I figure I might as well come down here and talk. So, you know?
Yeah, I'm barely coherent, so you're so lucky to have me as your first guest on your new show, because I am really coherent right now.
You know that something. Well, first, how have you been?
Good. It was a weird summer. Yeah, the writing life is a very, very strange one. Lots of ups and downs, and the economy is not helping. So, now my cat, I think, has a cold. Do cats get colds?
Yes.
Well, this one, she's coughing and hacking. It's very odd. I thought maybe she ate something, but I'm going to be very intelligent on your show this morning. We're going to have a deep conversation here at any moment.
If they go to school and get around other kids, they get sick. So.
Cats?
Yes.
Oh, I see. But the kids aren't sick. I'm thinking.
Oh no, okay. Well, that's different.
No.
Then that's different.
It's early, Don. It's very early.
So, you remember that book you were telling me about? That guy wrote about me. What was that called?
Burying Don Imus.
Yeah. So
he was against it. It sounds like he was for it, but he was against it.
Yeah. So that's out now, and I tried to read it. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. I blurbed it, and I don't blurb anything unless I read it. And it was pretty magnanimous to me, because he came down pretty hard on me in the book, and then had the gall to ask me for a blurb.
What did he?
Yes,
what was
he's an academic, so there were some long passages that were, if you were not an academic, were not that easy to get through. But there were some, I should have put some post-its in it for you, because he's a long-time listener. So there was a lot that was just very written for a mass audience, and just really showed that if you had been a long-time listener of the show, you would have, it came as such a shock to those of us who were not long-time listeners, but he put the whole thing very much in context. I have to say, I rarely read something that so conclusively makes me realize I absolutely didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But my reaction to the incident wasn't academic. It was purely personal. But had I been a long-time listener to the show, I think I would have had a completely different reaction. You should try to get through it.
I think Bernard read it, and he and Julie, they both read it. So, but I don't know. They didn't get much out of it. They thought, so let's talk about something other than me for a change.
That'll be novel.
So we talked about during the campaign about what it would mean if Barack Obama were elected president, and he's been elected president. And one of the things I think that we thought, and you correct me if I'm wrong, was that there would be that it would be good for whatever the term race relations means, and that it would be good for that, if nothing else. And then I always thought that given everything else or nothing else, it wasn't a horrible idea to put a blackface in the White House and show the rest of the world and this country. And so my observation for you, and it's in the form of a question, is it doesn't seem like it's done all that much for race relations, or has it?
It's so disappointing. One of the criticisms I get is in my race analysis, or whatever it's called, is that I'm like too much of a Pollyanna about race relations. And this is one of those situations where I have to agree. I am amazed at the level of race. I think it's racism. A lot of what he's facing is what W.B. Du Bois called the psychological wages of whiteness. You might be unemployed. You might, not be very well educated. You had the psychological wages that black people had to defer to you, and they couldn't live in your part of town and that sort of thing. And it seems so clear to me that there is a large segment of the white population that cannot bear having lost the psychological wage that black people could only rise just so far politically. And it's clear all of what's going on. But I think it's a huge part of it. And it's heartbreaking to me. I would never have thought race relations could get.
I don't know whether it's your Snoopy phone that your kids gave you to call me on. But you've been breaking up. Bernie, what would cause that? Do you know?
I would defer to the engineers on that.
Yeah.
No, it's probably the Snoopy phone. I'm talking into a hamburger right now.
Well, do you think all of the? Well, that's not the way to ask the question. How much of the criticism of the president is race-based, do you suppose?
Well, there's no way to answer that question for sure. But I think some of it is when you see T-shirts at those teabag rallies that say, "I want my country back," and have a picture with him and the red X through it. How did you lose your country by having Barack Obama be elected president? And all this rhetoric about socialism and Nazis is just another way of saying there are certain groups of people who are not really Americans. And once they're in charge, America is not really America. Now, there's also just the fact that Republicans and conservatives can't bear being out of power. So that's a large part of it. No one could say definitively how much of it is about race, but there's no question in my mind that some of it is. This whole birther thing, that he wasn't born in America, it's really, I never expected to see this much ugliness. The best I think we can hope is that America will make itself sick and take a good look in the mirror, and things will get better henceforth. But I'd say half of it is race.
Well, because I remember when Bill Clinton, we're talking about Deborah Dickerson, by the way, here in the Imus Morning program, it's 18 till the hour. I remember when he was president, they were calling him a murderer and a rapist, and while he was, in the characterization of Toni Morrison, our first black president, he at least didn't have to endure that kind of racism. But I, and try to be objective about it. I don't think there's any more racism now than there ever was, and I keep thinking, well, a lot of white people had to vote for Barack Obama for him to be elected president, and
Sure.
And I hear a lot of Republican criticism that doesn't sound like racism at all. It just sounds like they don't think he knows what he's doing.
Well, yes, and some people don't think race has anything to do with it. I think race has. I do. I think race has a lot to do with it, compounded by their fury, their absolute, they can't bear that they're not in power. It's driving them bonkers. So whether that's more the issue or race, who can say? But at least with calling Clinton a murderer and a rapist, at least those were based on things that actually happened. They latched on to Vince Foster and said, "Oh, they murdered him."
Yeah.
There was Monica Lewinsky and all the Congo eruptions. At least those things were sort of based on things that actually happened. But I want my country back. That's about more than just power. Is there more racism or less racism? I just think there wasn't so much. There's a specific place for whatever racism there was to go now, and it's to go. I'm pretty sure the people who are claiming that he wasn't born in America didn't vote for him. I'm pretty sure. I would go out on that limb. I would go there. So is it race or not? But it's and the socialism and the Nazis, what is that about?
Well, it's about trying to sell T-shirts, I think. So part of it.
I don't know. They're saying that there are some things that are not. It's like the opposite of Fannie Lou Hamer. Is this America? It's like the horrible Orwellian mirror image of that. Is this America? Where this black guy is in the White House, and I think there are, excuse me, a lot of people who cannot bear it. That the fact that this man is president is killing them.
You know, on I guess it was Thursday, he went to Copenhagen to pitch for the Olympics, he and the First Lady, and Oprah Winfrey. And I thought, and when Chicago didn't get it, I was thinking at the time, well, I can see that they would say no to the president and maybe even the First Lady. But you can't say no to Oprah.
Right.
What is that?
I thought Oprah would seal the deal. I thought she would seal the deal. But I don't know. I think with the problems that we have, I'm not upset that we didn't get the Olympics. I think we need to focus. I think a lot of time and energy would have gone to that needs to go elsewhere. And it's been proved that you never make your money back from these things. So I thought the whole Olympics thing was a distraction, and I could live without it.
How do you think he's doing as president? Forgetting everything else, just
using the person on the street barometer, Saturday Night Live took him apart this past Saturday at great length, and that might seem weird, but Saturday Night Live is kind of a bellwether. I think they were really, if the liberal media is as liberal and as powerful as they say, you couldn't tell it by this very specific takedown and critique they did of him. It's a weird sort of man on the street thing, but it's not a good sign. I think he is facing so much opposition. The short answer to your question, I don't think he's doing all that well, but I'm not sure that it's his fault. The thing that scares me the most about him is how much they're taking. The conservatives go after this staffer, and Obama gives him up, and then they go after that staffer, and he's gone. And when do you plant your feet and say, I have a right to choose my own administration officials? You have to stop this. You're keeping government from moving forward. So I'm concerned that he's being too conciliatory. I just don't think I certainly didn't appreciate the kind of pushback he was going to get, and in a way that just really, it goes beyond the normal loyal opposition kind of thing. And all this stuff about wanting him to fail and all that is it's just a very ugly time in America.
I would not be happy with this. I wouldn't mind if Newt Gingrich or some of these other guys got after me, but if Saturday Night Live, I don't know, I might reevaluate where I was. So, well, I hope
because that's a real cultural barometer, and they took him apart. It was merciless.
I hope your cat gets well. So.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm spending money on a cat. Maybe I'll just get another one.
No, that's fine. Just take care of it.
Just put this one there. I'll get another one. Yeah.
Thanks for being on the program. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Good luck. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
This morning debuting on the Fox Business Network. Dice Clay's with us this morning. Dice, how are you?
I'm over here now.
No, I know where you are. You're sitting in front of me.
You're over here now, too. You were over there, now you're over here.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we thought we were on last week just simply because we were in this studio, but apparently that wasn't the case. No. So what do you have?
I got the top 10 broads David Letterman was banging. Ow!
Isn't there some better way to put that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. The kind of gentler Imus for Fox Business. It's the top 10 young ladies David Letterman was intercoursing with.
Well,
ow!
No. Well, I don't know that helps. 6 minutes till the hour. Well, that's coming up. Then we'll talk with Glenn Beck. So on Dick Grasso, Senator John McCain, Matt Taibbi. And the Godfather's in this morning. What else coming up, Bernie?
Well, the man accused of trying to extort David Letterman, his attorney formerly represented John Gotti Sr., and he got him off back in 1990. And he was out yesterday on Geraldo's show saying that there are other players involved, that somebody else was wronged, And he looks forward to cross-examining or David Letterman on the stand. So this gets thicker. And CBS released a statement saying that there was no sexual harassment involved with David Letterman, though that may not be surprising when you consider that the owner of the company, or the CEO, Les Moonves, married one of his own news bunnies.
Well, there's got to be some better way to put this. Oh, God.
He was hosing one of the news bunnies.
I know what he was doing.
Imus in the morning.
Please welcome to the program, Gordon Goldstein. Good morning, Mr. Goldstein. You know, the argument, though, is, even the president's made, is that, well, we want to get the Taliban and Al-Qaeda out of Afghanistan and keep them out of there. But they're already in Pakistan, and they can just go to Somalia. I mean, if I can figure this out, believe me, they ought to be able to. And then the most recent credible threat we've had has come from places like Springfield, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and Queens, New York. So my suggestion was to send the troops there, maybe to Queens. but apparently not. So who do you think the president listens to?
This is a really interesting question. There's a debate now in the administration. You know, on one end of the spectrum, you've got the generals. It's General McChrystal, General Petraeus above him, and Admiral Mullen, who are all arguing for more troops. At the other end of the spectrum, we've got Vice President Biden, who is really stridently, passionately opposed to this increase.
A moron, by the way, but go ahead.
And he's reprising the role that George Ball played in the debates during the Lyndon Johnson administration. And there are others in the White House who are taking that line, but there are also influential voices from outside of the White House who are having an impact on the debate. Just a few weeks ago, it was reported that the president met with General Colin Powell, who argued that more troops, we are told, was a questionable choice for the president to make, and he tried to reiterate the themes from his tenure as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Powell Doctrine, which calls for very focused military objectives and always having a clear exit strategy. And I think what preoccupies him is he sees in this open-ended, protracted commitment in Afghanistan the inverse of the Powell Doctrine, and I think he was reaching out to the president to share his concerns.
Again. Got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Imus in the morning.
It is 5 minutes past the hour here in the Imus Morning program. On the radio all over the country, and this morning, debuting on the Fox Business Network, 2 new radio affiliates begin this morning as well, Charles.
Yep.
KKAT 860 in Salt Lake City, Utah, Utah's Big Talker, and KLRG 880 in Little Rock, Arkansas, back on there. Remember when we were there?
Oh, sure I do. At Doe's Eats. Remember that?
Yeah.
That place, yeah.
And they had me in the same suite that apparently Bill Clinton was in.
They did, I recall.
The one where he invited Paula, what was her name? Paula Jones.
Paula Jones.
PJ, ironically enough.
And so I was looking for evidence up there of...
I recall. We were looking behind the pictures on the wall and stuff under the bed.
But they did not find any of them amusing. All of his old friends there, but... And we've moved past that, haven't we? Or at least we've tried to.
No, we haven't.
Anyway, it's 880 880 large, the Little Rock Giants. So we're happy about all that. We're going to talk with Glenn Beck in a second. Dice Clay is here. Dice, always nice to see you. How are you?
I'm over here now.
No, I understand. I know where you are. And then Senator John McCain and Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone. And Wall Street's Naked Swindle. And coming up in just a little bit, a man, and I feel bad about this. I described as looking like a wet ferret.
Yeah.
When he was standing out on September 11th, when they were commemorating that the anniversary of that, down at Ground Zero with Neil Cavuto.
Right.
In the rain. There's Dick Grasso and Cavuto, and why they wouldn't use an umbrella is beyond me. But
I don't
It
understand.
was windy. Useless with an umbrella.
Okay, well, maybe they could have gone inside, but
they weren't worried about how they looked. They were commemorating a solemn event. They weren't, superficial like some people.
Well, I understand.
With like
doing the interview in their limo.
Gaggles of makeup people and stupid hats.
No, but he looked like a dripping rodent.
Fine, and he didn't care. The only one who cared was you.
Well, we'll find it. Well, then why do it on television? Why not get in a limo?
Gosh.
So,
I give up.
Yeah, no kid. Forget it, Bernie. It just doesn't work.
Anyway, 7 minutes after the hour, here's Chuck with a little news. Morning, Charles.
And the top story, Imus in the Morning, making his debut, the program on the Fox Business Network.
I just said
on
that.
FBN.
I just
the
said that.
network.
No, I just said that.
Hoping that Imus will bring more eyeballs to the web that launched in October 2007. Fox Business planning to intersperse financial news throughout the radio simulcast.
Great.
Among the guests today, the former New York Stock Exchange chief, Dick Grasso. And in the wings,
I've just said
Glenn
this.
Beck.
Sitting, by the way, over my shoulder, which is, it's almost like you're making one of those hostage tapes, And they have the people with the ski mask on and
Yes.
an AK-47. That's what it feels like to have Glenn sitting behind you as you're talking. So, anyway, what else?
And in the headlines, more bad news out of Afghanistan, where 2 more NATO soldiers, including another American, are reported dead in the latest fighting. The U.S. soldier died of wounds suffered in an insurgent attack in southern Afghanistan, the latest deaths following this assault of 2 days ago against a pair of remote outposts in a province, just remote outposts, very little protection, and 8 U.S. soldiers died. That was on Saturday in this latest attack.
9 minutes after the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Bernie, any news on Letterman?
On Letterman, no. Just what I just said before is Chargel's looking forward to cross-examining him, and no, pretty much hasn't hosed anybody over the weekend that we found out about.
Well, under what circumstances would he be cross-examining him?
Well, when the case goes to trial, Letterman's going to have to take the stand. He already testified in front of a grand jury. Well, the poor guy, it turns out, he was paying $6,000 a month alimony. He was in dire financial straits, and the girl he was hosing apparently.
There's got to be a better way to put it than that.
Well, the chick, she was still had something going with David Letterman, and one report has Letterman and the girl pulling up into the house that the Holderman and her lived in, and he was making out with her in the driveway. So there was some sort of jealousy. There's a lot of bitterness going on. A lot to come out yet that we don't know about.
There's no end to this story, and it's just unfortunate.
Yes,
it's like a Christmas come early for us.
Well, no, because it's not our job to revel in the agony of others.
Of course
it's not.
Here's Dice Clay. Morning, Dice.
It's my job.
Okay, what's on your mind?
I got the top 10 broads David Letterman was banging.
Okay, let me hear him.
Number 10, the intern who wore a beret, smoked cigars, and called him Mr. President. Oh! Number 9, the key grip who'd stick Gaffers tape on his nipples. Oh! Number 8, the production assistant who in the middle of it would go out for coffee. Oh! Number 7, the chick in the graphics department who could make it look bigger than it really was. Oh! Number 6, the floor director who would stand by and count him in. Oh! Number 5, The one from Texas and PR with the Paul Schaefer bikini wax. Number 4, the babe with the big butt and research who'd sit on his face so he could guess her weight.
No, not the old carnival
That's
joke.
number 4.
Okay.
Number 3, Conan O'Brien's sister. Oh! Number 2, the comedy writer who had uncanny control over her gag reflex. Oh! And the number 1 broad David Letterman was banging, the cue card girl, because she knew how to keep a freaking mouth shut. Oh!
Dice Clay, the Imus Wine program, 11 minutes after the hour. Time for the Fox Business Network Business Report, and here with that is Sandra Smith. Good morning, Sandra.
Tough act to follow there.
Well,
you know what? Hey, I can contribute this right now. The markets are looking pretty good this morning. We've got Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P futures all higher, actually moving to their highs of the morning session here. But, you know, this is the big kickoff to the third quarter earnings season this week. Alcoa, as you may know, is the largest aluminum producer in the world, so important for cars, planes, soda cans, anything, you can name it.
Sure.
Alcoa is going to be a big one this week. So earnings season kicking off, and so far so good this morning. The futures are pointing to a higher open.
market's been down for a couple of weeks. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, certainly. It's really bringing
I don't
into
think you have to snap at me. I just ask. I don't know anything about business.
She didn't snap.
No, you butt out of this. How does that sound? I just ask.
It certainly means that a lot of investors that have been very bullish since March are calling into question whether or not this rally can really continue. So we're up more than 50% since those March lows, and there's some doubt out there, you know, as the markets have indicated over the past couple of weeks, as to whether or not the rally can continue. So it's taken a little breather.
What are you going on about?
There.
I'm trying to talk to her.
There.
Well, no, don't
There's
call
the
her.
answer.
Don't call her a moron.
Oh no, not her.
Thanks, Sandra, very much.
Okay.
Sandra Smith here in the Imus Morning program on the Fox Business Network. And this business report is sponsored by the Fox Business Network. Time Warner Channel 43 in New York City. Tough financial times call for the best. And the best is the Fox Business Network. If you are not in New York City, log on to foxbusiness.com. Please welcome to the Imus Morning program. He's the man.
The great
Glenn Beck. Good morning,
How are you,
Mr.
sir?
Beck.
How are you, Don?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
You know, I was driving in this morning. I was thinking, what a privilege it is to be on your first show, and then I heard the lady with a sick cat go on, and I thought, dear God, man, you're pulling all the big guns out today, huh? Jeez. I was listening to this, going on and on about her sick cat, and I'm thinking to myself, I was actually rooting for the cancer to kick in.
Maybe
Or
no.
no, just drop dead on the first episode and you get good all of a sudden.
So, John McCain's going to be on later.
I'm looking forward to it. I am.
You are? Anything you'd like me to tell you?
No. No.
So, what did you say about
John McCain?
Yeah, and Barack Obama?
That I said that I thought John McCain would have been worse for the Republic, and here's why. I think he would have been worse because people wouldn't have awakened the way they are. You wouldn't have had people in the streets now. John McCain is a progressive. You read the words of Teddy Roosevelt, and I know he goes on and on about Teddy Roosevelt. Ask him about new nationalism, the speech that Teddy Roosevelt gave in around 1911. The guy was not a capitalist. He wasn't a free market guy. He was a progressive. John McCain would have taken us slowly, where Barack Obama threw us into the hot water, and we have a chance of the free market system actually surviving.
So will you be here all day?
Will I be here?
No.
No, I go down in my offices and do my radio show. And
Well, no, I didn't mean. Oh, that's right. What time's your radio show on?
9 o'clock.
Okay. How's that working out?
Working out well. Working out well. I mean, it's no Don Imus, but
I don't think that
it is.
No. So when did you stop drinking?
1995.
You did?
Yeah.
You remember the exact time? Or?
Yep,
I mean,
it
I'm
was-
a recovering alcoholic as well.
November 22nd. 1994, actually. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and I...
what were you drinking at the time?
Jack Daniels.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. What were you drinking? I was thinking
Vodka.
about... Really?
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about bringing him a bottle today, but I didn't know what you used to drink.
I was drinking Stolzenaya, 100
Were you?
proof Stolzenaya.
Yeah.
Put it in the freezer, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's like syrup.
All right.
Most drunks
What,
most drunks when they at the end when they reach their bottom,
Yeah.
are drinking vodka. So
No, I was with Jack Daniels. Yeah, Jack and I had a good long relationship.
why did you stop then?
Because I actually the Saturday before I found myself lying to my kids, and I was sitting at breakfast, and I had tucked them into bed the night before, and my kids came down for breakfast, and we sat at the table, and they said, "Dad, tell us the story of Inky, Blinky, and Stinky," which is a story of 3 little mice that I used to tell them. And I
Could you tell us that story maybe later?
well, maybe if you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Told them the story of Inky, Blinky, and Stinky, and they said, tell us the story, Dad, you told us last night. And I couldn't remember it. I didn't even remember tucking them in. And I was just really starting to go into the blackout area. Had been for a few months. And realized that I couldn't remember even tucking my kids in or playing with them the night before. And I said to them, you tell me. I want to see how much you remember. And I sat there as they were telling me the story, and I thought, what are you doing, you loser? What are you doing, lying now to your kids? And so I went to a church basement that night.
AA meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I sat there, and I remember this lady, she was sitting there, and she had a sweater set on. She was about 80, and she had the pearls. And I walked in, and she said, I said, I don't know if I'm an alcoholic. And I said, but you know, you don't look like what I thought alcoholics look like. And this old woman, she sat back in her chair, and I was standing right behind her, and she said, "Oh, honey, we're all drunks in here." And I thought, okay, I can do this. So about 4 days later, I stopped drinking.
First AA meeting I went to was at the City Court building here in Manhattan, and half the people there were women, and they were young women,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't married at the time. They were very attractive women. What?
Are we going someplace with this? Is this a David Letterman kind of moment?
No,
it's
they didn't
not.
work for me. They were at an AA meeting, and they would
That's
get up.
better. Just preying on the drunks.
And they would get up and they'd get up and they'd tell these stories about all these awful things they used to do.
Yeah.
To either get a drink or more cocaine and stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, how come I couldn't ever met some of them? So my friend Mike Lupica says to me, he says, "You like Beck?" Well, he knows that. So he says, "It doesn't end well." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Your friendship with him." I says, "Why?" He said, "Because at some point, your doorman's going to ring up and say, 'There's a Mr. Beck down there to see you.' And he's agitated."
Yeah, I've actually thought the same thing. My friends have said the same thing to me as this weekend when I was going to be on your show, and they said, "You're going to be on Imus?" They said, "That's not going to end well." It's really the same thing. You're the one wearing the gun. I just want to remind everybody.
No, I don't. I'm not wearing a gun.
If I'm found dead in the streets, it's either Van Jones or Don Imus.
So you're on the cover of Time magazine. Your book's #1, I noticed.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah. It's gone well.
You've got Sean Hannity, Rush. They both hate you. All players.
No.
Oh, come on.
No, they don't.
They all hate
No, they
you.
don't. No, they don't. Why must you
You're
stir
telling
up
me
the hate?
Rush is happy you're on the cover of Time? No, he's
Yeah,
not.
actually, I actually got a note from Rush.
What did Rush say?
I hate you.
Yes. That's all.
No, Rush is. You know what? Rush has been really very gracious the whole time. He has. He really has.
All right, fine. So, but you can believe.
Do you hate me?
No, because I'm not competing with you. They are.
What do you mean? You're on radio. I'm on radio.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not. I have no mission here. My mission is to revel in the agony of, say, you. And I don't want you to say anything this morning because I'll get blamed for it. When you're on a Fox morning show.
You know what? This is like matter and antimatter in the same room. This whole building could just disappear.
No. When you were on a Fox morning show and you made a remark about the president, they didn't get blamed for it.
Right.
If you were to say that here,
you will.
I would have got.
So
they
that
would have
actually
had
protects
me
me
saying
then.
it. Yeah.
I'm going to just start saying all kinds of stuff on your show.
Thank you very much for doing
Thank
this.
you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
And Glenn Beck here at the Imus One program, 20 minutes after the hour.
Good morning, and these are some of the principal stories that we're following for you on the Fox Business Network. First of all, Pakistani authorities and witnesses say 5 people were killed, several others wounded today. A suicide bomber disguised as a security officer blew himself up in the lobby of the UN Food Agency in Islamabad. Bombs have killed 2 NATO troopers, including an American, following Saturday's deadliest attack against U.S. forces in Afghanistan, better than a year's time. And rescue workers called off the search for survivors under the rubble left by the massive earthquake in western Indonesia. Instead, we'll simply try to get resources and food to people who are refugees. And those are among our top developments. The Imus in the Morning program continues now on the Fox Business Network.
Uh, 26 after the hour here in the Imus Morning program. We're going to talk with the former head of the New York Stock Exchange, Dick Grasso, in just a couple of minutes. Warner Wolf Sports, sponsored by American-made Peerless Boilers and their new 96% efficient Peerless Pure Fire Series. At that beast out of your basement. Visit peerlessboilers.com for a dealer near you. Good morning, Warner.
Good morning, Iron. The big one tonight in Minneapolis. Vikings, Packers, 40-year-old Brett Favre against his old team and the guy who took his place, 26-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Here was Favre on tonight's game.
We're going to play these guys again. We're going to play a lot of games after this. I sure hope we win this game, but for the right reasons.
Right reasons? Who cares about the reasons?
Yeah, what is that about?
Nobody cares.
What does that even mean?
God,
No.
just win it.
Packers 27, Vikings 24. Sunday Night Football, the Steelers beat the Chargers 38-28 after leading 28-0. Steelers had almost 500 yards total offense, while the Chargers had only 16 yards rushing. 16 yards, I-man. That's the entire Charger team. That's not just LaDainian Tomlinson.
That's fine.
That's just not Phillip Rivers. The entire Chargers team.
We get that, Warner.
Giants, Saints, Colts, Broncos all go 4-0. Giants beat the Chiefs 27-16. The pick here was Giants 27-10.
So you were wrong again.
Eli 20 for 34, 292 yards before leaving bruised heel. Saints beat the Jets 24-10. The pick here was Saints 27-20. The pick here was Saints.
Fine, Warner. You're never right. You've never been right.
Rookie Mark Sanchez woke up and suddenly realized he was playing in the NFL and not his senior year at USC.
Well,
3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 1 fumble in his own end zone for a touchdown. Broncos go 4-0, beat the Cowboys 17-10. Tony Romo had 3 shots inside the Bronco 8 with 27 seconds left. And again, not a money quarterback couldn't get it done. Here was Cowboys losing coach Wade Phillips.
Yeah, it didn't seem like we could get it going the second half. I thought I may be wrong, but I thought the first half we did a pretty good job.
Well, too bad the game didn't end that.
That's right. It's good. It's good it didn't end at the half.
Who won the car race?
The car race won by Tony Stewart in a Chevy. He's 61 points behind Mark Martin. And finally, baseball, Tigers and Twins finish 86 and 76. 1-game playoff tomorrow night in Minneapolis. The Tigers will go with 14-game rookie winner Rick Porcello. Hey, Jim Leland, how do you think Porcello will do?
How he'll do, I don't know.
Oh, well, there's a photograph.
We'll talk with Dick Grasso next. All right.
I see the bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times a day. Well, don't go around the night. Well, it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the ride. Imus in the morning.
25 minutes past the hour, 25 till the next one here in the Imus Morning program on the radio all over the country and debuting this morning on the Fox Business Network, though I thought, because we did this show from here last week, and apparently we were not on television last week, were we?
They were dry runs, man.
Richard A. Grasso, usually known by the nickname Dick, was chairman and chief executive officer of the New York Stock Exchange from 1995 to 2003. And he joins us now here on the Imus Morning program. Good morning, Mr. Grasso.
Well, good morning, Mr. Imus. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm growing hair again.
Why?
I'm changing my image, changing my entire look on life, and I've started a new career.
What is your new career?
I'm a sous chef at La Villa in Westport, Connecticut, where I understand you have some outstanding bills, Mr. Imus.
No, I don't. David A. Kamansky, the former head of Merrill Lynch, man. Did you think 5 years ago there'd be no Merrill Lynch?
You know, it's really hard to imagine Wall Street without Merrill Lynch. I mean, it was the culture of Wall Street, serving customers and helping businesses raise capital, job creation, and to see what's happened, I mean, it's just a terrible tragedy.
When this thing went down, it all started with Lehman Brothers, right? When Paulson and what's his name, Bernanke wouldn't save them, let them go bankrupt.
Well, it actually
was that a mistake?
A little earlier in the year, with the rescue of Bear Stearns, you
Right.
started to see the snowball coming downhill, and I think the lack of savior of Lehman really tumbled the financial community into an absolute free fall.
There's a Matt Taibbi's written an article. Have you ever read any of his articles about Wall Street, like the Goldman Sachs thing? Or
No.
do you want to?
No.
Why?
I prefer to be ill-informed and just have opinions like people who wear cowboy hats.
No, I don't. Just come to disparage me, a person battling cancer. I don't get that.
Let's just come back to the cancer for a
Sure.
moment, Don, because you really have nothing to worry about.
Right.
Remember those immortal words of Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Only the good die young.
I'm surprised you'd be quoting him, by the way. So, but back to Bear Stearns. In the current issue of Rolling Stone, I'm going to talk to him coming up. Matt's article entitled "Wall Street's Naked Swindle." It's his contention, and I just see if you think there might be some plausibility to all of this. Is that the fix was in with everybody on Wall Street regarding Bear Stearns, and everybody else participated in letting them go down. Do you think that's true?
I think it's hard to connect the dots of Bear to last September, October, because Bear was in trouble long before, 6 months before. Their funding had run out. They had some very bad mutual funds that basically imploded. And I think what Treasury and the Fed were looking to do was put them in a safe harbor. No one could have anticipated how quickly the financial system came to the brink in September of last year. I think in retrospect, many of the advisors who were in the middle of that storm would say perhaps they should have saved Lehman. Many that I talked to say they absolutely should have saved Lehman.
What do you
But then
think?
again, well, look, Don, at that point in time, you know, it's very hard to criticize from the outside. You had Citigroup, you had AIG, you had Merrill Lynch.
Well, it's easy to
Lehman.
criticize from the outside because you know how many.
Well, you do it every day. I
Well,
understand
yeah,
that.
no, I mean, you can hammer everybody now.
And that's it's important to do it from an ill-informed point of view, which you've been excellent at, I might say, for 35 years. But you know, my own sense was I would have saved Lehman, and I think that that would have sent a message to the world that the Fed and Treasury and the United States government wasn't going to let the free market become a free-for-all market, which it became.
There are a lot of people, we're talking about Dick Grasso, former chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, a guy who, by the way, when we founded the Imus Cattle Ranch for Kids with Cancer back in 1998, came up with the idea. I said, how am I going to raise money to do this? And Dick said, well, why don't you sell acres, commemorative acres, for $5,000 an acre? This is 98. Things were different then, which I thought was an insane idea. But we raised $4.5 million in 3 hours on one morning, and the next morning we raised another $4.5 million. So
you say it was an insane idea. I seem to recall that conversation we had. I was in Kuala Lumpur, And when I suggested it to you, you said, "And you're the bleeping chairman of the New York Stock Exchange," and hung up the phone.
Yeah.
You called back about 5 minutes later and said, "You really think we can do this?" And you've talked about the results.
So that was a whole different time, wasn't it?
It was. And you know, I think that on a serious note, I've had the privilege with Dave Kamansky of coming out to the ranch and seeing what an enormous contribution you make to the lives of those kids. They arrive with no self-esteem, with their heads down, believing that they're sick and they can never do anything, and they leave different little people. They leave with a spree. They leave with a desire to fight the disease, and you and Deirdre should be so proud of what you've done. It's really a marvel.
Thank you. It was humiliating when you were there because you looked like Yosemite Sam. You had your pants up around your armpits. It was horrifying. So.
Charles, is
Yes.
he back on the white syrup?
He could very well be, Mr. Grasso.
I mean, this is.
There are a number of people who think that I'm not one of them, but that all of these folks on Wall Street are playing everybody for suckers, and that there's just and that the goal of people, even like Goldman Sachs, well, there's only Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley left now, and the goal is just to figure out some clever new way to make hundreds of millions of dollars it takes, and that all of us who are buying these shares and thinking we're investing in the market and stuff are essentially suckers. How much of that is? I mean, people think that. So how much of that is true, though?
Well, as you continue to repeat that every morning, a larger and larger audience of the world will believe that. I don't think that's the case, Don. Clearly there's an element that follow that point of view, and they should be rooted out. They should be thrown out of the business. They don't deserve to be there. The purpose of Wall Street is not to serve Wall Street. It's to serve America, to basically channel capital to ideas that become businesses that employ millions and millions of Americans and people around the world, and to help people manage money. I mean, that's the purpose of Wall Street. Provide capital, raise the standard of living of not just this country, but countries around the world who use the capital markets, and help people manage their money.
Okay, so, and Santa comes down the chimney, doesn't he? And the little Easter bunny, he has little eggs for us, too, huh? And the tooth fairy, it leaves a $50 bill when, I mean, come on.
I was wrong a moment ago. You're not on the white syrup. You're back on the blow.
Talking with Dick Grasso, former chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Somebody asked me, Neil Cavuto would be his name, asked me the other day that after...
Nice. He's your host, is he not, here at FBN? A great move on their part, bringing you here.
What was he?
That portion of the world that hasn't been alienated by Don Imus can now enjoy that alienation.
He asked me if, when I got fired, some people supported me and some didn't, if I was angry at anybody. And I thought about it a second. Actually, I'm not. So some people I pretend that I am. Or that he said, well, do you have a list of people you want to get even with? And I don't. I said I had a good memory. But like even Harold Ford Jr., who I'm made up with. I mean, I don't know what the point is. So my question for you is, did you have a party when it was revealed that Elliot Spitzer was getting his socks sucked off by the hooker?
Absolutely not, Don. Elliot has 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters, and I can only imagine the pain that his wife and those young girls went through. So you don't take revel in that. Look, I had worked with Spitzer prior to my leaving the stock exchange on some important changes that were made in Wall Street. But, when you see something like that, all you can think about are the wife and the kids and how terrible it must be. So you don't revel in other people's misery. Some people do, though, Charles.
I was going to say, then that's the thesis of the Imus in the Morning program.
You can't possibly be Italian.
I am Sicilian. Unlike you,
you can't be Sicilian.
Unlike you, I don't have a list. Okay.
Yes.
I have a memory. Okay. And those who deserve the wrath of my Sicilian background, well, I'm starting today, Charles, where I sit.
Finally, do you think you look at the American economy and look at the and the people who are in charge of trying to rescue it are the people that for the most part, got us into it. Are you optimistic about the future of the country?
Well, Don, I was on Wall Street for 35 and a half years.
Well, we know that, Dick. Can you just answer that question?
Don, I was on Wall Street for 35 and a half years.
Good. That's great.
Are we on delay here?
No. What's the matter, Charles?
Well,
I apologize.
Would you let him formulate an answer?
I'm sorry. I
Jesus.
apologize for snapping at you.
Sorry, Mr. Grasso.
An anorexic fly rod, Charles?
Exactly.
With a cowboy hat.
Yes.
Look, anyone who bets against America is dead flat wrong. I've seen the cycles. I've seen the Dow at 500. I've seen it at 14,000. The one thing you know for certain, all right, whether it's Spain, Malaysia, you pick the place, they're not going to lead the global economy back to prosperity. It is the United States of America. If you're not bullish on this country, you don't get it.
What happens if China and Japan want their money back?
China doesn't have a market if it can't sell to the United States of America. Japan has had a lull in its economy for the last 17 years. I would say they're all rooting for us, although quietly they may say things and people may believe things. They know America has to do it.
Nice to see you. Happy to know you're still alive.
So, well, it's great to see you, and
that you're
remember, keep that Billy Joel song in mind.
Dick Grasso here in the Imus Morning Program.
Imus in the morning.
Till the hour here on the Imus Morning Program on the radio all over the country. And this morning, debuting on the Fox Business Network. Please welcome to the program now, Don Corleone, the Godfather. Good morning, Godfather.
Good morning, Don Imus.
How are you?
I'm very happy that you, under my counsel, have decided to give up all the Gavone family's interest in the Infomnia Counting Cows business and setting me up here in the business. Now, this quattro anno guardato stolto, this four-eyed goof, Neil Cavuto, of the Fox family. He will sell his share of the network. Surprise to you, almost as much as a surprise as it was to this Neil Cavuto. He never said anything to your younger brother Fredo about selling, but I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Act like a man! Sign the paper or get a bullet through those horn-rimmed glasses like Mo Green. It's not personal, it's business. They don't call it the Fox, the Cantillos, the Lupicas, the McCords, the Tony Powells, the Bowmans and Bornemans, Bill White and the Finocchio family. With someone you absolutely trust, guaranteeing your safety. Everyone here in this room, you will be assassinated. You understand, I'm under a lot of pressure to allow that meeting to take place. All the other families, the Ruffinos. In fact, only the Warner Wolf family does not want any harm to come to you, but only because he has cousin Brucey in the Deadpool. Now remember, whoever comes to you with this meeting, he's the traitor. I suspect it will be Don Bernardo. He does not treat you with respect. He talks back, pees in your coffee. With you out of the way, it will be all, La buona mattina e dia benedicono. Good morning and God bless. Which doesn't belong and why? A, Benito Mussolini. B, Joseph Stalin. C, Don Imus in the morning. Domando travachetto a parte Gerdono. Trick question. They all belong.
The Godfather here in the Imus Morning Program, 5 till the hour.
Imus. Imus in the morning.
the best sports writer in America, now that Tony Kornheiser has stopped doing it and Jim Moore is dead. Mike Lupica. Good morning, Mr. Lupica.
Good morning, Mr. Imus.
Digressing like a drunk at Maureen Dowd's Christmas party. What do you think this Letterman thing means?
The women involved have stories of their own, you know, and
you don't even want to. I mean, you don't want to be on the front page of the New York Daily News or the New York Post, a 62-year-old guy, and the headline is, I realize if you're 62 or 69, or you can have sex, but that's not the point. But you just don't want to see. I had sex with staff and be first of all, he's a creep anyway. So I know you like him, but
last night on the show, the audience didn't. They didn't know that it wasn't a joke. I mean, they didn't know that this was serious stuff, and didn't know whether they were supposed to laugh because they were sort of conditioned to go along with the smirk on the show. And
see, I think people should be like you have been, and which is a great dad and a wonderful husband. I mean, you put up some big numbers before you met Taylor, but since then you have been
okay.
You have been great, and God bless you and congratulations.
Why? You know.
But you were out there for a while, man. I remember. Boy, that was tough.
What?
That I had a video camera in those days, kid. Oh gosh, we gotta go. Mike Lupica.
Computer or on the move this morning? Check us out, foxbusiness.com Live, Morning Edition, for all the latest business headlines. Here's a quick look at futures as we head right into Monday's session. Been positive all morning. S&P 500 up more than 0.5%. Imus in the Morning begins right now.
Interest in promoting them. If you pick from among the 1,200 plus companies in our guide to direct investment plans, you are doing yourself the biggest favor in the world.
And you might even have fun doing it.
Where can I get some information on the money paper?
Call now. You'll get the guide to direct investment plans at a special promotional price. It has every company that accepts direct investments. Plus, you get a free copy of the money paper. You'll see how easy it is to invest without a broker.
Get the guide for $15 plus shipping. Call 1-800-388-9993.
Drowning in debt, we expose why the country is really in the red and reveal how some stimulus money actually cost people their livelihoods. Plus, you weigh in on how we can get America back in the black. All this week, it's a Scoreboard special series only on Fox Business.
Ladies and gentlemen, Imus in the Morning.
5 minutes after the hour on the Imus in the Morning program on the radio all over the country, including, by the way, 2 new radio stations this morning. One in Salt Lake City, Utah, KKAT, 860 on the dial there. Utah's Big Talker. And KLRG, 880 AM in Little Rock, Arkansas. Well, not a bad place to be on.
It's a great place. Come on.
Charles has I don't know what he has, a lean-to there at the Bull Shoals Lake in
That's right.
Northwest Arkansas.
Yep.
We're on 880 in Arkansas, the Little Rock Giant, 880 large. Jesus.
God.
Can
you figure anything out?
No. They're brand new this morning. I don't have their slogan down yet. Don't worry about it.
Bet they're thrilled.
Don't start.
Man.
Don't start again.
God. mighty.
And we're debuting this morning on the Fox Business Network. And I was confused about that a little bit because we were here all last week, but I'm now told those were rehearsals just to see how stuff worked, right? We weren't aware of that at all.
Dry runs. That's
So here's the problem.
Now what? Jesus.
No. This started a couple hours ago, and the event y'all just turned your television or your radio on, I simply made a comment about my health. And, Charles, I want you to listen to how you behaved and the way you talked to me, a person who was waging this. Roll it, Lou. And I continue
God's sake.
my courageous battle with prostate cancer. What's wrong?
This is our first day on the Fox Business Network.
I'm well aware of that.
Do you have to bring that up on the first day? There are doubtless a lot of people who are tuning in, who are listening to, viewing the Imus in the Morning program for the first time.
Fine.
Why
I'm not doing
would
anything.
you want to alienate a potential new audience base?
Don't start.
What would be the point of you alienating a lot of people?
I'm not trying.
Everybody knows that you have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yes.
Headhunters in New Guinea know that you have prostate cancer.
Yes.
Lost tribes in the Amazon know that you have prostate cancer. Why are you doing this? People are starting to have their breakfast. Why do you think people are interested in your urinary tract defects? Nobody is. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. You want to know why nobody cares?
No.
Because you have killed sympathy. Because you have gone on with this crap so long, you have killed sympathy. You have not only killed sympathy for yourself, you've killed sympathy for other cancer patients. You have sissy cancer. Your cancer is never going to harm you in any fatal way. You're going to get killed by something else, probably by somebody around here with a baseball bat, if you don't stop it. And for God's sake, will you eat? Eat something. Who eats habanero pepper sandwiches and drinks grape juice out of a sippy cup because of that woman you're married to, Florence Nightingale, or whatever the hell, with her Mother Jones cancer book? For God's sake, you've got to stop. Look at yourself. You've lost 1,000 pounds. You look like an anorexic fly rod with a cowboy hat on. For God's sake, stop. We are sick of it. You have no more compassion. And for crying out loud, eat. Get some bacon and eggs and some hash browns. Eat. Stop it. Just stop.
Are you proud of yourself?
I stand by every word.
9 minutes after the hour, we're going to talk with Senator John McCain in just a minute. First, with some headlines, here's Charles McCoy. Good morning, Chuck.
Don Imus launches on the Fox Business Network. Consensus of critics and observers, this doesn't end well. Many Republican lawmakers have said that President Obama's $787 billion stimulus package has not helped the economy recover. They appear to be right. Available work and people... What?
No, go ahead.
An expert with Moody'sEconomy.com says the unemployed may need to find more than just a new company. They may need to find a new industry. Some suggest a new country. Healthcare workers, Memphis, Indianapolis, will be among the first to get the H1N1 vaccine today, which will be in nasal spray form. Injectable vaccine will be coming in a week or so. The first to get the vaccine, pregnant women, kids 6 months to 24 years, and people with chronic health problems, which would probably include the host of this program.
I mean, I don't know why you find my health problems amusing. It's a source of humor.
It's not. It's just a source of annoyance. Not humor, annoyance. And the Supreme Court begins a new term this morning. New on the court is its first Hispanic woman justice, Sonia Sotomayor. Two of the high-profile cases that probably will dominate the term include a challenge to limits on corporate spending in political campaigns and a lawsuit seeking to strike down local handgun bans in the Chicago area.
10 minutes after the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Please welcome now to the Imus in the Morning program, the senior senator from the state of Arizona, our old friend, Senator John McCain. Good morning, Senator McCain.
Hi, good morning, Don. How are you? Congratulations and condolences.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the first part. What are the
condolences to the American people that are now additionally going to be exposed to your rants.
So how are you?
I'm doing fine. I agree with Rob Bartlett there that you don't want to go to a private meeting with Roger Ailes. He sets you up and knocks you down.
On a serious note, 10 soldiers dead in Afghanistan over the weekend.
Yeah.
Jim Jones, President Obama's national security advisor, with Bob Schieffer yesterday, among other things, saying he takes exception to your comment that the administration dragging their feet on General McChrystal's request for more troops is political.
Well, what I said was that I had some sympathy for the president because the left of his political base is very much opposed to additional troops in Afghanistan, and that I believe that the president will do the right thing, which is to send the additional troops, at not just General McChrystal, but also General Petraeus and Admiral Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and the people that were right about the surge in Iraq, the ones who said that it would succeed. General Jones believed that we needed to send our troops to the borders of Iraq and kill al-Qaeda from outside, which is something I've never really figured out. So General Jones was wrong about Iraq, and the fact is that we need to get this decision made, and we need to get help to those 68,000 that are over there, and more of them are in harm's way the longer we delay. This strategy was devised in March when the president said that it was a war of necessity, we had to succeed. This is the strategy that will succeed. It's a counterinsurgency strategy, the kind that worked in Iraq, adjusted to the different situation and conditions in Afghanistan. We can and will and we can and must succeed there. And the longer we wait, the weeks, then the longer it takes for us to get the much-needed help over there.
What does succeed mean?
This is what it does in Iraq, what we've done in Iraq. Iraq is no longer poses a threat to the United States of America. Afghanistan, the same way, that you have a functioning government, flawed, but functioning. But most of all, you have provided an environment of security for the people so the political and economic and normal life can be conducted, and Afghanistan will no longer be a risk of the al-Qaeda reestablishing a base in Afghanistan to attack the United States of America, as happened in 9/11. And anybody that believes that you can hand over the country or significant parts of the country over the Taliban and not have to worry about al-Qaeda returning and working with them and becoming a base for attacks against the United States of America again has no understanding of the region nor the nature of the enemy, much less giving the people of Afghanistan over to the tender mercies of the Taliban. We used to, on Saturdays, take women into the soccer stadium in Kabul and hang them by the at the goalpost because they exposed their ankle.
Talking with Senator John McCain here in the Imus Morning program. The president, as you pointed out, described this as a war of necessity. General McChrystal is his guy, but it sounds as though he's changed his mind, doesn't it?
I think that I don't know everything that's going on. I've not been obviously included in their discussions. I know that they have devised a strategy that can succeed if it's sufficiently, quote, resourced, which means a big part of that, of course, is troop numbers. And I've never seen a situation where there was a recommendation from the commander in the field for an increase in troops or numbers of troops, and first the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and now the Secretary of Defense, who I happen to be a great admirer of, saying, I'm not sending that request on to the president. How can you make a decision about what strategy to pursue if you don't know what your commanders in the field are recommending as far as numbers of troops are concerned? I mean, I've seen a lot of decision making, good and bad, on the part of presidents and throughout history. I've never seen anyone quite like this one.
A couple of credible al-Qaeda threats came from places like Springfield, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and Queens, New York.
Yes, and you might recall that some of those people went to Pakistan and in order to get training and then return to the United States of America.
I was thinking maybe we should send troops to Queens.
Well, you got to hand it to our law enforcement and Homeland Security people that they've been finding out about these plots, and several of them before they've been able to act. I think we ought to give them some credit, and maybe we might give George Bush a little credit for the fact that we've not had another attack on the United States since 9/11. We blame him for everything else.
Somebody told me off the record. Well, they didn't tell me off the record. I just couldn't use their name, but they said, we're talking about why there'd been no second attack, and they said they thought President Obama was the second attack, which I thought was an idiotic thing to say. Back to, please don't snap at me like you do sometimes, when you get cranky. But back to Afghanistan.
When did I snap at you when I get cranky?
But back to Afghanistan and keeping Al Qaeda out of there or whatever. Don't they just stay in Pakistan and go to Somalia or someplace else?
Well, these same people, by the way, several months ago were saying that the Pakistan government was about to fall. I never accepted that. Of course, Pakistan is important, but I guarantee you, if we send the signal to Pakistan that we're leaving, I can only imagine the adjustments that will be made in Pakistani government's behavior, including the ISI, if they think we're leaving. Don, you can't ignore the lessons of history. After we helped the Afghans drive the Russians out of Afghanistan, we left the area completely. We had nothing to do with it. And guess what? The Taliban eventually took over, and they began working with Al-Qaeda. That's just history. And these countries, if we leave, they have to stay in the neighborhood. They have to adjust to the situations and the realities there. And that cannot be in our interest. And Pakistan, of course, as you know, has a large nuclear inventory, which makes it all the more important.
Senator Kerry, John Kerry, is a friend of mine. I know he's a friend of yours. And I talked to him about, do you know I had prostate cancer, by the way?
That John Kerry?
No, that I did.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Sure, we covered that.
God almighty.
You've been in our prayers, Don.
Thank you. Anyway, I was talking to him about this, and then we got to talking about him not being elected president, and he said it took a while to get over that. But
well, it took me about 48 hours.
Really?
Of wallowing in self-pity, which is really an enjoyable experience, and then I decided the best thing is to get back into the arena, jump back in, get to work. I still am honored to be a senator from the state of Arizona. Look, we've talked over the years. I'm the guy that stood fifth from the bottom of his class at the Naval Academy, and to get the nomination of the party of Theodore Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan and Abraham Lincoln, that's a great honor. The experience of the campaign was incredible. Look, I look back with, believe it or not, with a little bit of humility and a great deal of honor that I was able to do what we did, and I'm proud of every minute of it. But you got to move on, and the way to get over it is get busy and get into the arena, get back into my home state, which where you grew up, which is so beautiful. And so I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm the loyal opposition.
Thank you, Senator. Always nice to talk with you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. Good to talk to you again, and congratulations on all your success. My best to Charles and Warner and Bernard and everybody.
Thank you. Senator John McCain here at the Imus Morning Program. It is 19 after the hour. Time to take a look at the Fox Business Network Business Report, and Sandra Smith is standing by. Good morning, Sandra.
Hey, good morning to you again. Well, we're still watching these futures. They're still looking pretty good and pointed to a higher open on Wall Street here. And I decided to do a little bit of homework for you. I know, Imus, that you were asking about what the last couple weeks of sell-offs might mean for the markets. Well, over the weekend, Nouriel Roubini, he's the NYU professor, widely credited for predicting the financial crisis. Well, he said over the weekend that the markets have gone up too much, too soon, too fast, and he actually says that they're at risk for a correction, meaning that we could see the last couple of weeks of selling in the markets continue. But so far, the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are pointing to a higher open, and also important to point out that we're still up 45% and the Dow Jones Industrial Average since those March lows. So the rally's still pretty strong, but the last couple weeks of selling certainly is calling into question whether or not that rally from March will continue. And also, banks in focus. Imus, obviously a big deal here that Bank of America may soon replace Ken Lewis with an emergency CEO. There's obviously a risk that legal problems could force him to step down before the end of the year. So Bank of America's put together a 5-person committee to decide on a replacement for Ken Lewis. That hasn't yet come into play yet, but they should have one by the end of October, according to a lot of reports. So that will also have to get regulatory approval, by the way, because remember, Bank of America received $45 billion in our taxpayer funds. So the 5-person committee will decide, but it'll also have to get regulatory approval if an emergency CEO is selected.
You don't want to dial up eharmony.com and have Ken Lewis's picture pop up. You know what I'm saying, Sandra? With those goofy eyes. That's a scary dude.
Singletary, right?
Yes. You know, we need, Sandra, we need scandals. We need people, we need Letterman-like scandals in the financial community.
All right. We'll get to work on that.
Or we just need somebody who's got caught with a hand in a cookie jar. We need that.
Okay.
So. But futures are fine, but we really want to revel in the agony of, I don't know, maybe we could drag somebody like Lou Gerstner from IBM back in this.
Why not?
Thank you very much,
All
Sandra.
right, thank you.
Sandra Smith, the Fox Business Network Business Report. You can just hear in her voice, can't you, Bernie?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Get me out of
She
here.
wants out.
The poor thing.
Do
God
I
bless
have
her.
to answer anything? He says.
I'll answer phones, anything. Just get me out of this damn thing.
I don't want to talk to say horrible
She
things
gave
about.
a very, very insightful and informative report there,
Yeah.
and you want sex scandals. I mean, it's day one. I mean, let the girl do it. I was very informative. 2 weeks lows. The rally still continues, though. But Rubini says it might. That's very helpful.
Okay, fine. So
you want a David Letterman Wall Street type of thing.
Don't you?
Well, maybe down the line, but right now that was great.
Oh, you mean like today you don't want it?
No, I don't.
Warner Wolf will do sports next. It's 22 after the hour, and then we'll talk with Matt Taibbi, speaking of Wall Street, from Rolling Stone magazine, Wall Street's Naked Swindle. That's what I'm talking about.
Cowboy. Imus in the morning.
You don't want to miss that interview. Also coming up, we want to take a look at if you're traveling this morning, you have to check us out at foxbusiness.com live. Morning edition, you get our latest business headlines right on the web there. Quick check on futures as we head back over to Charles for some national news headlines.
And a couple of our top stories. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon calling a suicide bombing at the UN Food Agency's headquarters in Islamabad unjustifiable, a heinous crime, 5 die. An American among 2 more NATO soldiers reported killed in Afghanistan. And the president continuing to press for action on health care reform. He will join a number of doctors from all across the country for a morning Rose Garden event on the subject of health care. And those are among our top developments. The Imus in the Morning program continues right now on the Fox Business Network.
Uh-oh. 28, almost 29 after the hour here in the Imus Morning program. We're going to talk with Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone on Wall Street's Naked Swindle coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But first, it's time for sports, and sports is sponsored by Peerless Boilers. They make America's most efficient boiler, and plus you can get some sort of tax scam. Well, no.
No.
No, it's not a tax scam.
No.
It's a tax deduction as a result of putting one of these things in your basement and ought to be there anyway. Good morning, Warner.
Good morning, Iron Man. Giants, Saints, Broncos, Colts, all win, go 4-0. For the first time this year, Jets rookie quarterback Mark Sanchez realized he wasn't playing for USC and was playing in the NFL. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble in his own end zone, accounting for 14 Saints points.
You know what's going to be important, Warner, is how he bounces back.
That's right, Iron Man.
So, you know.
Let's see how he does.
Yeah.
The pick here was Saints 27-20.
Don't say you're wrong.
I'm wrong. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Giants beat the winless Chiefs 27-16. The pick here was Giants 27-10. 27-10.
No, I understand. Why you're wrong again. I mean, keep reminding us that you're wrong.
Bronco.
I mean, why you would want to call attention to it is unclear to me.
Broncos beat the Cowboys 17-10. Once again, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, Tony Romo, had 3 shots from the Bronco 8 with 27 seconds left and couldn't get it in. Here was unbeaten Broncos winning coach Josh McDaniels.
We know we've won 4 games, and 4 games will never qualify us for the playoffs. 4 games will never win our division, and 4 games won't get us really much of anything.
Well, that's the spirit. Last night, the Steelers jumped out to a 28-0 lead, held on, beat the Chargers 38-28. The big one tonight, Vikings-Packers in Minneapolis. Packers 27, Vikings 24. Baseball, Tigers, Twins win. 1-game playoff tomorrow night. Speaking of the Yanks, A-Rod finishes with 30 or more homers, 100 or more RBIs, 13 years. But the question is, I-Man,
yes,
as the playoffs begin, will A-Rod finally step up, or will he again disappear? My time is up. I thank you for yours.
31 after the hour. Matt Taibbi is next.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take out T-C-B. Suck it to me, suck it to me, center and say. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, woo, hey. Imus in the morning.
.36 after the hour here in the Imus Morning program on the radio all over the country. And this morning debuting on the Fox Business Network. Please welcome to the Imus Morning program from Rolling Stone Magazine, Matt Taibbi. Good morning, Mr. Taibbi.
Morning, I-Man.
How are you?
Good. Good yourself?
Well, I'm actually I'm fine, aren't I, Charles?
Yes, you're fine. You are fine.
I'm afraid to say.
Just leave it at that. You're fine.
Congratulations on your new show.
Thank
This
you.
is great.
And I'm waging a
That's fine. You're fine.
I'm fine.
So we're all fine.
Any fallout from this, the great bubble machine, the Goldman Sachs thing?
Not particularly. I think there was a little bit of discord after it first came out, but I think it's mostly settled down since then.
So the thesis of that article was what?
That Goldman Sachs had a unique amount of influence on Wall Street and in the government because they had so many people in the government. They were allowed to dictate or heavily influence regulatory policy, and that they used that to deregulate the economy and create bubbles that they were allowed to use to enrich themselves at everybody else's expense.
Yeah, and their reaction to all of that.
Initially they didn't have any reaction. No. They completely, ignored me when the article first came out. But since then, they've obviously been in contact and wanted to cooperate with me in future endeavors. But so that's, I guess, some progress. I don't know.
Well, see, I recommend to everybody that they read these articles, and so I get some of the fallout. So they think, but I don't understand. And like I read your current article, Wall Street's. Naked swindle, a scheme to flood the market with counterfeit stocks, helped kill Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, and the feds have yet to bust the culprits. Now, I read it, but I read it for when you say icky things about various people.
Yeah, 10,000-word article on naked short selling is not the way you want to start off Monday morning. I totally understand that.
So the first thing, first of all, the first thing I tried to figure out is what is naked short selling, or what? First of all, what is short selling?
Well, ordinary short selling, legal short selling,
Right.
which is a good thing, which is different from naked short selling.
Right.
That's just the way you can make money by betting against a stock. When you're short selling, basically what you're doing is you're borrowing stock, selling it, waiting for the price of the stock to go down. Then you go back out in the market, buy the shares back, and return them to the person you borrowed from.
Keep the difference.
And keep the difference. So that's normal legal short selling. That's great. It's an important thing because it helps incentivizes Wall Street to sniff out corrupt or inefficient companies like Enron or WorldCom,
Right.
and that's a good thing. Naked short selling is a completely different animal.
How does that work?
Naked short selling is basically selling shares that you don't have.
I mean, you haven't borrowed from anybody.
Right. You don't even necessarily have to borrow them, and you sell them, and you don't deliver them either. So it's really basically counterfeiting.
Who would buy them? Who would buy them without any evidence?
Any ordinary, in fact, probably if you own stock, if you have a stock that pays a dividend, you probably actually have counterfeit shares. If you look at your statement and it says anywhere on your statement PIL,
right,
which means payment in lieu of dividend, and that what that means is that whoever it is making you a payment, but it's not a real dividend because you don't own the real stock.
Why are they paying the dividend?
Because they're making money elsewhere on this whole naked short selling scheme. Basically, the way our system is set up, we trust all these companies not to counterfeit these shares, and they're allowed to deliver a kind of IOU instead of the real share. And so the system is flooded with these IOUs. They're called fails to deliver. And if you have them and it's a dividend-bearing stock, you're going to get this payment in lieu of dividend instead of a real dividend.
See, a lengthy discussion about this could make you want to kill yourself.
Oh, yeah. It makes your head want to explode.
Yeah,
and that's one of the problems is that this stuff is so complicated and nobody wants to pay attention to this.
So you write this for Rolling Stone.
For pot-smoking teenagers, right? Yeah.
Well, the Goldman Sachs article must have been successful. I mean, Jan Wenner's not going to say, "Well, go write another one about it."
Right.
If it didn't resonate somewhere.
Right. Well, I think what's happening is that people are beginning to get a little upset about the way things that have gone on in Wall Street in the last couple of years, and the only way to really fight back against it is to understand how it works. And in order to understand how it works, you really have to make a commitment because this stuff, especially, all the different regulations, they're really labyrinthine. You have to make a lot of effort to pay attention to how it all works. And it takes 10,000 words to explain it.
How did you, because the last time, before you started writing this, you were covering the campaign,
right,
which you talked about for a couple of years.
Right.
And then when you went into this, did you know anything? Did you know what short selling was?
I couldn't even balance a checkbook when I started doing this last year. I mean, I literally, when I would call up people and I would say, "Tell me something about something," I mean, I didn't even know what questions to ask. It takes a long time. I think it's taken me about a year to really get up to speed on the basics of everything. But it's such an arcane world, and there are so many different nooks and crannies to it that you can really spend a lifetime on this stuff, and you would never even get to first base.
We're talking with Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone magazine. It's the issue with U2 on the cover, and a great article about Miranda Lambert, whose new hit single. I don't know if it's a hit single yet, but a new cut on her new album is "Time to Get a Gun." So, which that's a redneck girl for you. But there was an article in the New York Times the other day by Joe Nocera, I believe that's the way you pronounce his name, and he says that he thinks, as do many other people, that Henry Paulson and Ben Bernanke should not have let Lehman Brothers go under.
Well, there's a very strong argument that should, because it created an enormous amount of chaos. I mean, when Bear Stearns was in trouble, the government stepped in and threw a whole bunch of money at the problem so that J.P. Morgan could come in and rescue the company, and that really staved off the panic for 5 or 6 months. And what happened to Bear Stearns is exactly what happened to Lehman Brothers. Now, there's an argument to be made that Lehman was a lot sicker than Bear, that it didn't have nearly as much assets as Bear did. But the government made a very conscious decision not to step in and rescue Lehman Brothers. And the important thing to remember is Henry Paulson is the former head of Goldman Sachs. So when he didn't let Lehman Brothers survive, that's kind of like George Steinbrenner not bailing out the Mets. I mean, these companies are bitter rivals, and so when that happened, that raised a lot of eyebrows on Wall Street and made people think that the whole system was really dirty after that.
Here's what we need from Wall Street to make it interesting to us. We need some of these people like the John Thane thing. I mean, buying a $80,000 shower curtain.
The area rug, right?
We need Letterman-like behavior. Don't we?
We probably have it. It just haven't uncovered it.
Like, so your article begins with it's a fascinating scenario. I guess that's the right word. Of somebody betting $1.7 million on Bear Stearns going down, clearly having what you're implying, or at least I inferred from it, that they had some sort of advanced knowledge. Tell me about that.
Well, on March 11th, 2008, someone bought $1.7 million worth of options, and Bear that day was trading at 62.
What are options?
It's basically a contract that allows you to sell a stock at a certain price. So on that day,
regardless of what happens to the stock.
Right, exactly.
Okay. All right.
So Bear that day was trading at 62, and this person bought $1.7 million worth of options that allowed him to it gave him the right to sell at 30 within 9 days. Okay, so he had to sell at 30 or below within 9 days. So he was basically betting that one of the biggest companies in America would lose half its value in less than 2 weeks, which is like impossible. Somebody compared it to buying 1.7 million lottery tickets.
Yeah.
And it worked out. It paid. So, when I asked people...
And he made $270 million.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I asked one SEC investigator, I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does this rate on the insider trading scale? And he's like, it's easily a 10. This is one of the most obvious cases of insider manipulation you'll ever see on Wall Street. And nothing was done about it. And that's...
They never find out who did it.
They never found out who did it. It's a very easy thing for the SEC to find out who did it, too. I mean, all you have to do is look at the data. But they never did. They were clearly aware of a problem because they issued subpoenas after that. They knew that the same thing was happening with Lehman Brothers because they were looking at the same kind of activity, and they didn't do anything to stop it. And it's not so much that this naked short selling is such a widespread problem. It's the fact that it happened with such huge companies and that the government didn't step in and do anything about it. It makes everybody around the world think that the American capital markets are dirty. And this is the big problem that we're looking at with this.
And we all thought the president, I guess we all thought, the president was going to change all this. He hadn't done any of that.
No, I mean, of course, remember President Obama. I remember he had people like Austin Goolsbee working for him during the campaign, a lot of these sort of progressive economic people. And then as soon as he got elected, he sent all those people to Siberia and brought in people like Michael Froman, who was a Citigroup executive who took a $2.5 million bonus from Citigroup after he got hired by President Obama. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that signals to the rest of the world that, things aren't quite right with us, and that's really the big problem.
Now, you wouldn't be criticizing President Obama because you're a racist, right?
So secretly, I am. I kind of pose.
When are you getting married?
Next June. Thanks very much.
Well, congratulations. Always nice to see you, man. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Matt Taibbi, Rolling Stone. It is 8 minutes till the hour here in the Imus in the Morning program on the radio all over the country, and it's our first morning on the Fox Business Network. Tomorrow on the program, I can't think. Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, Chuck, is going to be in.
Great.
We'll see, and Mary Matlin's going to be on. But Cesar's coming in, and Deirdre and Wyatt are going to bring in Virgil.
Yeah.
Our dog. Who is I would give that dog to, given the choice, I would let Michael Vick have the dog.
No, you wouldn't. What is wrong with you? Good.
Well, maybe not, but
no.
And then Carl Jeffers will be on tomorrow as well. Tony Powell's here. Tony, how are you?
I'm good. I thought Cesar was coming in to stop you from peeing in the corner, but is going to train Virgil? Is that what's going on?
Well, I know. I don't know. I know he's beginning to. No, it's nothing to do with me. So.
Oh, okay.
So what do you have in your mind this morning?
Well, no, I was reading an article. I mean, one of our sponsors, GM, who makes some of the finest cars on the planet. Right. There's a new car. Buick has a new car called the LaCrosse. Yes. And up in Quebec, French Canada, they have a problem with the name LaCrosse because apparently the name LaCrosse in French Canadian slang is another term for self-pleasure, masturbation, spanking a monkey.
No, I got just because I'm pausing. Here's why I'm pausing. Because you keep coming up with these kinds of stories.
I don't write them.
I don't. I know you
They
don't.
put them in the paper, and I'm reading the paper, and I see
But
them.
there are all kinds of stories in the paper that you could choose from.
This is Fox Business. That's a business story.
Good point.
About the French Canadians thinking
that they're giving our cars a hard time. I mean, they want GM, who's become leaner and meaner, to change the name of the car to suit their needs.
Oh, because it means.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's stupid. I mean, you know, I don't. First of all,
what would you change it to?
Well, I'm just thinking I have no problem with the car that is the slang term for masturbation. Because if a car makes you feel that good when you drive it, that's the one for me. Get where you're going with a smile on your face. That's what I'm thinking.
Tony Powell here at the Imus in the Morning program. It's coming up on 5 minutes now until the hour.
People have Hummers. Nobody says anything about that. Who wants to sit now?
Imus.